The midday sun beat down hard on the cracked highway that ran along the edge of a sleepy little town called Clearwater Springs. Life moved slowly here. Quiet streets, creaky porches, and neighbors who still waved as you passed by. But for Jacob Miller, life had been anything but peaceful. A 34-year-old single father with calloused hands and an aching back, Jacob had been trying to hold things together ever since his wife, Emily, had passed away 3 years ago in a car accident that shattered their world. Since then, every day had felt like a climb uphill, with no end in sight. He worked 3 jobs: mechanic, part-time janitor at the local school, and sometimes, when time allowed, he mowed lawns around the neighborhood for extra cash. But no matter how hard he worked, it was never quite enough. His 5-year-old daughter, Lily, was his whole world. Her smile gave him strength. But the guilt of not being able to give her more was a constant weight on his chest. On this particular day, Jacob was closing up his small, run-down garage. He was drenched in sweat, engine grease smeared across his cheeks, shirt clinging to his chest. Just as he was about to roll the shutter down, a loud, sputtering sound echoed down the road. A sleek black SUV, a brand-new luxury model, was limping along the road, clearly in trouble. Smoke puffed from under the hood, and the engine coughed like it was on its last breath. Jacob instinctively dropped his wrench and jogged toward the road. The SUV came to a stop just outside his shop. The driver's door opened slowly, and out stepped a woman, slim, tall, with perfectly styled hair, sunglasses covering her eyes, and a puzzled expression on her face. Her clothes screamed designer. This wasn't someone from Clearwater Springs. She looked completely out of place. "Hi," she said, clearly frustrated. "I think my car's dying. I was just passing through and, well, it started making this strange noise. And now it won't go past 20 miles an hour." Jacob offered a polite smile. "You're lucky you broke down here. Another 5 miles and there's nothing but empty road. I can take a look if you'd like." She nodded, relieved. "I'd appreciate that. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name." "Jacob. Jacob Miller," he said, already opening the hood. "I'm Claire," she replied. There was a hesitation in her voice, almost like she wasn't used to introducing herself so plainly. As Jacob inspected the engine, Claire stood off to the side, watching him closely. She wasn't just observing the repair. She was observing him. The way his hands moved with precision, the sweat on his brow, the way he gently wiped his hands before checking the coolant. He didn't know it, but Claire was far from an average traveler. She was Claire Donovan, tech billionaire, founder of one of the fastest growing global apps, and known for her secret philanthropic missions. Tired of scripted charity galas and PR-driven donations, she had recently decided to go undercover across America to find real people, those who lived with integrity, kindness, and selflessness even when no one was watching. Jacob fit the description more than he could ever imagine. Within minutes, Jacob diagnosed the issue. "You've got a busted thermostat and a couple of hoses that are worn through. Probably happened over time. I can replace them for you, but it might take an hour or 2. Claire glanced at her watch. "That's fine. I'm not in a rush." And Jacob gave her a slight nod and got to work. He didn't ask for money, didn't ask where she was going, didn't ask why someone who clearly had wealth didn't just call for premium roadside service. He just worked silently and efficiently. After a while, Claire wandered around the tiny garage, noticing the old pictures on the wall. Jacob and a woman, clearly his wife, holding a baby. The next photo was just Jacob and the little girl, now slightly older, her hair in pigtails and a missing front tooth. There was a sadness in the evolution of those images. A story told through silence. Jacob caught her looking. That's Lily. She's 5 now. Smart as a whip. Wants to be a teacher. She's adorable. Claire replied softly, as her mother. Jacob nodded, wiping his hands on a towel. Gone. 3 years now. Claire didn't pry, but something shifted inside her. She'd met thousands of men in boardrooms, tech expos, and luxury retreats. But this man, grease-stained, sunburned, exhausted, held more dignity in his silence than they ever had in their speeches. 2 hours later, the car was fixed. Jacob dusted off his hands and closed the hood. All set. Should run smooth now. You'll want to get a full check. Up at a dealership when you get where you're going. But this will hold till then. Claire opened her purse. How much do I owe you? Jacob shook his head. Nothing. Just glad I could help. She blinked, stunned. Nothing. He smiled. You were stranded. Doesn't feel right to charge someone just for passing through. The world's hard enough as it is. Claire felt a lump rise in her throat. She'd been prepared to pay triple the amount. She'd assumed, like most did, that kindness came with a price tag. But Jacob, he wasn't like the world she was used to. Thank you, she said quietly. You've no idea how much this means. He just nodded. Safe travels, Claire. As she drove away, she looked back in the mirror, watching him walk into the garage, tired but content. She didn't know yet, but she wasn't done with Clearwater Springs. Something about that man, that garage, that town. It stirred something deep in her. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was destiny. Back at his home, Jacob returned to Lily, who ran into his arms and giggled when he lifted her up. Daddy, you smell like cars again! He laughed. That's because I fixed one today. She kissed his cheek. You're the best daddy. He smiled, hiding the ache in his back and the fear in his chest about overdue rent and school supplies. Thanks, Peanut. As night fell and Lily slept, Jacob sat on the porch, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, the woman he helped was moving on. He didn't know who she really was. But he had a feeling she wouldn't forget him. It had been 5 days since Claire Donovan's unexpected stop in Clearwater Springs. 5 days since Jacob Miller, the struggling single father with strong hands and kind eyes, had fixed her car and refused payment. 5 days since she saw something in him that the polished men in tailored suits never had. Back in her luxury penthouse in Manhattan, Claire sat at the edge of her bed with her assistant's voice rambling through her earpiece. Stock updates, emails, proposals, a new deal in Singapore. All the noise of her world. But her mind was still in that small garage. The scent of motor oil, and the image of a tired man with grease on his shirt and love in his eyes for a little girl named Lily. Cancel the board meeting, she suddenly said, interrupting her assistant mid-sentence. Mom, postpone the London conference and get me my travel team. I'm going back to Clearwater Springs. Alone. And this time, I won't be in disguise. Jacob didn't expect to see her again. He thought maybe she was a big city executive, passing through on the way to some retreat or wedding. He certainly didn't expect to see a sleek black SUV roll into his driveway 2 days later. Lily was coloring on the porch when she noticed it first. "Daddy, it's the fancy car lady!" Jacob stepped outside, wiping his hands again with a shop towel, confused. Claire emerged from the SUV, this time in jeans and a soft blouse. No sunglasses, no designer bag, just her. "Claire," he asked, incredulous. She smiled. "Hi, Jacob. I told you I'd remember you." He chuckled nervously. "Did something go wrong with the repair?" "No, it's running perfectly." "I'm not here about the car." He raised an eyebrow. "I'm here about you." Over sweet tea at his kitchen table, Claire began to explain. At first, she was vague. About business, about success. Then slowly, she pulled off the veil. "My full name is Claire Donovan. I'm the CEO of Digisphere, the tech company behind the app you probably haven't heard of, but your daughter will use in school one day." Jacob froze. "What? The Claire Donovan? You're a billionaire." She smiled softly. "I've built a fortune, yes. But I've been searching for something more meaningful. People worth investing in. People who give without expecting anything in return. People like you." Jacob leaned back, stunned. "I don't understand." Claire reached into her bag and pulled out a thick envelope. Inside is a certified trust, legal documents, and a proposal. "I want to invest in your life, Jacob. In your future. You don't owe me anything in return." He didn't take the envelope. "I don't want charity," he said quietly. "It's not charity," Claire replied. "It's belief. You helped me without knowing who I was. You did the right thing even when it cost you time, effort, and potential income. That's rare." Jacob looked down, silent for a moment. "What exactly are you offering?" Claire took a breath. "I want to fund your garage, turn it into a real business. Full repairs, auto restoration, even training young people from the community. I'll cover the debts on your house, give Lily a full education fund, and, if you accept, I'd like to help you build a life where you no longer have to worry every single day." Silence filled the room. Then the sound of Lily's voice broke through. "Daddy, are we going to be okay now?" He looked at her, then at Claire, and his eyes filled with tears. Over the next few weeks, Clearwater Springs saw something it hadn't in years. Hope. The old garage transformed almost overnight. New tools, bright signage, a waiting area. Mechanics from the town came looking for jobs, and Jacob, now the boss, hired every one of them fairly. Claire didn't just leave money, she stayed, helped organize, guided with experience, but never overshadowed. She became a friend, a constant visitor. She brought books for Lily, ideas for the shop, and dinners Jacob hadn't tasted since Emily died. But something else began to bloom, unspoken at first. Glances exchanged, lingering smiles. The way Claire brushed Lily's hair back, or the way Jacob would instinctively open her car door, always watching out for her. They were two people from different worlds, but their hearts beat to the same rhythm. One evening, after closing the shop, Jacob found Claire sitting by the old oak tree near the garage. "You changed our lives," he said softly. She smiled. "No, Jacob, you changed mine. I don't know how to repay you. You already did." He looked at her, heart racing. "I came looking for someone honest, kind and real," she continued. "I found you." Their eyes met. "Claire," he whispered, "are you sure you want this? This life? Me and Lily?" She stepped closer. I'm not here for your past, Jacob. I'm here for your heart. And as the sun dipped behind the trees, their lips met. Gentle, uncertain at first, but full of the promise of something new. Something neither of them had expected to find. Months passed, and the story of Jacob Miller and Claire Donovan made headlines. Once Claire finally allowed it to be told. But even with the attention, Jacob stayed the same. He opened a scholarship in Emily's name. He built a small park behind the garage for kids like Lily to play. And every night, he tucked Lily in with a kiss and whispered, "We're going to be okay, Peanut." Because they were. Love found him not in glitter or glamour, but in engine grease and kindness, in a helping hand offered without question. And Claire, she didn't just find a mechanic. She found home.